So let's look at the digestive journey. Where do you think it begins? Right? Where do you think it starts? Some say the mouth, the teeth. Well, it actually begins in the brain. Believe it or not. And I'll explain why. Because if your brain is stressed, it slows down gut activity, you don't have appetite, you don't have gut motility, which is the movement of food throughout your digestive system. You don't have proper digestive enzymes, you have poor digestions. But if you relax, you have appetite, it's stimulating the digestive system. When you relax, your digestion works best. So it starts in the brain. Right before you eat the food, how do you feel? And that's going to determine a lot on how your gut function. Isn't it amazing? It doesn't begin in the mouth. It begins in the brain. So when you serve that plate, are you pissed off about the traffic or something that you have to do at work or some colleagues or weather? Weather is the most... Who gets annoyed by the weather? That person is the weakest of the weak. I mean, you can't control the weather. So if you get upset or irritated by the weather, then there's no hope for you. So focus on something you can control, please. So it begins in the brain. Are you stressed or relaxed? That matters. So that's why we focus so much on stress reduction or stress management in the 30-day gut challenge. Chewing matters. How fast do you chew? Do you inhale the food and get on with your day? Or do you chew and break it down and help your digestive system works? Kind of take some pressure off the stomach. Otherwise, the stomach's doing a lot of work if you don't chew the food really well. So oftentimes we eat too fast. We eat in front of a TV, we eat in front of a computer, we eat while we talk on the phone. I don't even know how that is possible. We stress, we don't really give the attention the food it deserves, because that is literally going to transfer to you for your energy to use the rest of the day. When we eat too fast, we have poor digestion, we have malabsorption. It doesn't break down really well. It promotes bad bacteria. It causes bloating, stomach pain, and we overeat because the response that comes from the gut to the brain and tell us that we're full doesn't register yet. It takes a little time. So we overeat. We eat too fast, and next thing you know, you feel like crap. Louis C.K. said it best in one of his stand-up. He said that we don't eat until we're full. We eat until we want to kill ourselves. Sometimes that's the case. So it's the stomach. Stomach is like a blender. Store, mix, and release. So you just pour a bunch of stuff in there. It's like a big Vitamix. It just adds a little digestive juice in stomach acid, and just press blend on, and next thing you know, you have smoothie. And that goes into the small intestine, breaks it down. The small intestine breaks down food even more, and it helps with absorption. That's where you absorb food or nutrients. And that's the important part, because if your small intestine doesn't work really well, then you're not absorbing. And small intestine plays a role in the immune function as well. If your small intestine is loaded with H. pylori, Helicobacteria pylori, you can have gastric ulcer, and you can have malabsorption, you can have nutrient deficiency. So at this point of the journey is where you actually get the energy transfer. The building blocks of life gets transferred from food into your system right here in the small intestine. So the lumen is basically the space right here. That's called the lumen. We zoom in and you have the villi. The villi are tiny, basically this almost like the hair from the rug. Let's put it this way. And you zoom in even more, there's microvilli. So it's all these fingers that are there to increase surface area. For what? For absorption. So on the other side is the blood. That's where food gets transferred from essential vitamins and minerals, proteins, fat, carbohydrates, into the blood, into the cells. That's where the exchange happens. And if you have leaky gut, then you're really screwed because you're not going to be absorbing really well. And when you're not absorbing really well, then you're malnourished. So remember this phrase. This is the most important phrase of today's lecture, is you're not what you eat. You hear this all the time. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. Well, that's half truth. You are not what you eat. You are what you absorb. And if you don't absorb what you eat, it does not matter if you eat organic vegetables, grass-fed meat, all these vitamins that you take. If you don't absorb because your intestines or the small intestine is broken or sick, then you're screwed. Because all that will not matter if you don't absorb. And then you move on to the large intestine. This is where the gut flora lies. A lot of the immune function lies here in the gut, in the large intestine. You have the gut flora that protects the body. The immune system, 70% lies in the intestines. This is where detoxification happens, and this is where you absorb water. Large intestine. What is the microbiome? The microbiome is essentially a city. The collection, the population of total bacteria in your gut. Well, in this case, it's in the gut. You can have the microbiome on your skin as well. It's made up of trillions of bacterial cells. It helps balance the immune system. There's more bacterial cells in your body than there is human cells. It used to say that there's 10-to-1 bacterial cells than human cells, but I think the real number is 4-to-6-to-1. So don't quote me on that. The most recent research has shown that it's not really 10, but that still doesn't really matter because it's still more than human cells and the function doesn't change. It helps balance the immune system. It keeps away the bad guys. It lowers infection. It helps you detox. It helps you make vitamin, like vitamin K and biotin, and the short-chain fatty acid that is critical for anti-inflammatory response, which is to cool down the inflammation, lower inflammation in your body. If you have poor microbiome, you are inflamed. And inflammation leads to chronic diseases. So, why do we need gut bacteria? Let's talk about this concept of symbiosis. Symbiosis is basically an exchange, a relationship in nature between two organisms. Essentially, it's basically, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Yeah. I help you, you help me. That's symbiosis. It happens all the time in nature. So the microbiome must be in balance. How do we help the microbiome? Well, we feed it. It takes food from us. All the food that you eat, the microbiome get to eat. So in return, it protects us by providing a good environment that pathogens like parasites and viruses can't really thrive on, and also helps make vitamins for your body, right? In return that you feed me, essentially. So there's symbiosis there with the microbiome and the human. And when we feed it the wrong thing, then it will give us the wrong response. Let's say if we eat too much sweet, the microbiome then changes into more pathogenic, more inflammation occurs. If we wipe it out with medications like antibiotics, wiped out all bacteria, it kills everything else. Guess what comes back first? The weed, right? When you spray your yard, everything dies, weed comes back first. So when you kills off the bacteria with antibiotics, then the bad guys come back first. So the microbiome is out of balance, and now you become more immune, more susceptible to sickness and disease. Think of it this way. Dr. Wilco said best, the microbiome is like a metropolis. It's either in order or chaos. When your microbiome thrive, which is on the left side here, you thrive. And when the microbiome is in chaos or in shambles, the city is just basically on fire, then you suffer as well, because you don't get the vitamins, you don't get the protection, you don't have the immune support, and you don't have the biotin, the short chain fatty acids, and you're more susceptible to pathogens and sickness and energy as well. So that's a microbiome. What the gut reset is focusing on is really because all chronic diseases start in the gut. When you heal the gut and balance the microbiome, your body thrives. It's been said in Chinese medicine, it's been said in Ayurvedic medicine, it's been said in functional medicine, and now that we know more about the gut, especially in the last 10 years, there's way more stuff coming out, research-wise. Big publications that just expand our knowledge about the microbiome and the importance of the microbiome to the human body. And without properly addressing the health of the gut, we will continue to be sick as a society, as a species. So it all starts in the gut. And that's why this program is vital. It can give you so much if you follow the protocol and rebuild the gut. So the goals of the gut reset is to balance the microbiome health, lower inflammation of the digestive system, in turn lower the inflammation of the whole body. It's very detoxifying. It supports immune function. It promotes healing and sustain healthy lifestyle beyond 30 days. So once you get the combination of understanding and implementation, then you get sustained change, because now you know what you're doing it for.